Please subscribe to the channel before watching the video. You have been poisoned by a modern lie. It is a sweet poison. It tastes like relief. It tastes like connection. It is the lie that vulnerability is strength. Society, your friends, and even your therapists tell you to open up, to be an open book, to wear your heart on your sleeve, because authenticity attracts trust. They are wrong. In the cold geometric reality of power dynamics, information is not connection. Information is ammunition, and you are handing the gun to the people who will one day pull the trigger. Niccolo Machiavelli, the man who mapped the darkest corners of the human psyche, knew this 500 years ago. He understood that the moment you reveal the architecture of your mind, your fears, your limits, your plans, you cease to be a player, and you become a piece on the board. You become predictable. And in the game of power, predictability is death. You think you are bonding. They are gathering beta. You think you are unburdening your soul. They are looking for the cracks in your armor. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition. Look at your own life. How many times has a secret you whispered in a moment of closeness been weaponized against you in a moment of conflict? How many times has your honesty been used to manipulate your guilt? Stop bleeding for people who don't have the capacity to heal you. Today, we are going to close the gates. We are going to explore the 7 specific pieces of information you must never under any circumstances share with anyone. Not your friends, not your colleagues, and often not even your partner. This is the art of strategic concealment. By the end of this video, you won't who say the most, but the ones who are impossible to read. We are going to turn you into a fortress. Before we isolate the 7 things, you must understand the mechanism of mystery. Why are we drawn to the ocean? Because we don't know what is at the bottom. Why do we fear the dark? Because we cannot see what is standing in it. The human mind is wired to respect what it cannot fully comprehend. When you explain yourself, you diminish yourself. When you detail your life, you become mundane. You become common, and common things are treated with indifference. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." He wasn't telling you to lie. He was telling you to create a black box around your core self. Input goes in, output comes out, but the processing mechanism, the internal wiring that remains hidden. When people cannot see how you process the world, they cannot manipulate your process. They cannot press buttons they cannot find. You must stop viewing conversation as a confessional. View it as a game of chess where every sentence is a move. If you move your queen too early, you lose her. Let's begin with the first, and perhaps the most critical lock you must put on your mind. Item 1, your ethical red lines. The ceiling of your cruelty. This is the mistake almost everyone makes. You meet someone new. You want them to know you're a good person, so you tell them what you would never do. I could never fire someone. I'm too soft. I could never lie to a client. I value honesty too much. I could never cut off my family. Blood is everything. You think you are signaling virtue. You are actually drawing a map of your limitations. When you tell a manipulator exactly where your moral line is, you tell them exactly how far they can push you before you break. You show them the wall they can back you against. If I know you can never handle confrontation, I will use aggression to dominate you every time, because I know you will fold to avoid the conflict. If I know you can never lie, I will use your honesty to extract secrets, knowing you won't cover your tracks. If I know you can't say no to a favor, I will drain you dry. Machiavelli argued that a prince must be capable of both great virtue and great cruelty, depending on the necessity of the moment. He said you should be cruel. He said you should be capable. When you announce your red lines, you are telling the world, here is where I am weak. Here is where my hands are tied. Keep your ethics to yourself. Be a good person. Yes. Act with honor. Yes. but never tell them the extent of that honor. Let them wonder if you are capable of biting back. A dog that barks is understood. A dog that stands still, watching with no sound. That dog is feared because you do not know if he will lick your hand or tear out your throat. Maintain the ambiguity of your capability. Let them believe that if pushed, you are capable of anything. That potential for danger is the only thing that guarantees your safety. Item 2. The sweat behind the magic, your effort. We live in a culture that loves to show the work. We post the late nights. We post the grind. We complain about how hard the project was. We want sympathy for our labor. Stop it. There is a concept from the Renaissance courtier Baldassare Castiglione called scriptura. It means studied carelessness. It is the art of making the difficult look easy. When you reveal how hard you are working, how much you are struggling, or how much effort it took to achieve a result, you devalue the result. You make it look heavy. You make it look like you barely pulled it off. If you tell your boss, "I stayed up all night finishing this report," you think you are showing dedication? What he hears is, "I am inefficient and I barely managed to get this done." If you tell a romantic partner, "I spent 3 hours getting ready for this date," you think you are being flattering. What they hear is, "I am desperate for your approval." Machiavelli and the great seducers of history knew that power must look natural. It must look like a gift from the gods, not a product of sweat. Never share the struggle. Never share the doubts you had at 3 o'clock A. Never share the near misses where everything almost fell apart. Present the finished product. Present the victory, and when they ask how you did it, smile and say, "It just came together." This creates an aura of competence that borders on the supernatural. People follow those who make winning look inevitable. If they see you bleeding and sweating for every inch, they subconsciously classify you as a laborer, not a leader. Hide the accumulation. Reveal only the asset. Item 3. Your Plan B, the exit strategy. This is a subtle trap. When we are anxious, we like to talk about our backup plans. If this business fails, I can always go back to teaching. If she breaks up with me, I have a place to stay at my mom's. You say this to comfort yourself. But when you share your Plan B with the world, you kill their belief in your plan. Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, spoke of the death ground. He said that if you want soldiers to fight with the fury of demons, you put them in a position where there is no escape. You burn the boats. You show them that retreat is impossible. When you tell people you have a safety net, they stop betting on you. Investors don't invest in a founder who talks about what job he will get if the startup crashes. Partners don't commit to someone who constantly talks about what they would do if they were single. Furthermore, if your enemies know your exit strategy, they can cut it off. If I know your Plan B is to move to a specific competitor, I can poison your reputation with them before I fire you. If I know your Plan B is to rely on a specific savings account, I can target your finances. Your escape route is your last line of defense. It must be invisible to the world. You must appear fully committed. You must look like someone who has no choice but to win. This conviction is contagious. It makes people rally around you because they believe you are a force that cannot be stopped, only joined. Keep your parachute hidden under your jacket. If you have to pull the ripcord, do it, but don't walk around showing everyone the handle. Item 4. The exact extent of your intelligence. Information asymmetry. There is a massive difference between being smart and showing you are smart. The insecure man wants everyone to know he knows the answer. He corrects people. He interrupts. He offers facts. He displays his intelligence like a peacock displays feathers. This is foolish. When you show everyone exactly what you know, you give away your advantage. You show the limits of your data. The Machiavellian strategy is to play the fool, to appear slightly less intelligent, slightly less informed, slightly less observant than you actually are. Why? Because when people think you don't know something, they get careless. They speak freely around you. They lie to you, thinking you won't catch it. They reveal their schemes, thinking you are too slow to understand them. And while they are acting out their play, you are sitting in the audience taking notes. Never let them know you know. If you discover a betrayal, do not rush to confront them with the evidence. That is emotional. That is weak. Instead, keep the information. Act as if everything is normal. Let them continue to lie. Now you have the power. You can steer them. You can feed them false information. You can wait for the perfect moment to drop the guillotine. Information is a non-renewable resource. Once you say, "I know what you did," the value of that information hits zero. The element of surprise is gone. Hoard your knowledge. Let them explain things to you that you already understand. Ask questions you already know the answers to. Watch how they answer. Are they honest? Are they simplifying it? Are they manipulating? By concealing the extent of your intelligence, you become a human lie detector. You are operating with a full deck of cards, while they think you are only holding a pair of twos. Item 5. Your financial vulnerability or your abundance. Money is not just currency. It is a signaling mechanism for dominance. And in the world of negotiation, knowing someone's true financial position is the ultimate leverage. You must never share the exact state of your finances. Whether you are drowning or whether you are swimming in gold, both are dangerous. If you reveal you are struggling, you attract predators. People will lowball you. They will offer you terrible deals because they know you are desperate. They will lose respect for you. In our primal brain, financial struggle signals an inability to extract resources from the environment. It smells like failure. You become a charity case, and a charity case is never given a seat at the throne. If you reveal you are wealthy, you attract parasites. Suddenly the smiling saboteurs appear, friends who need loans, family members who have great investment opportunities, people who want you to pay for dinner. Worse, you breed envy. And as we have discussed in previous videos, envy is the most destructive emotion in the human arsenal. People will try to tear you down simply because your abundance makes them feel small. Machiavelli advises a strategic fog around your resources. Appear comfortable, not desperate, not flashy, just capable. If you are broke, dress well and speak with abundance. If you are rich, dress modestly and speak of budgets. Keep them guessing. If a client doesn't know if you need the deal, you have the upper hand. If they think you can walk away at any moment, they will chase you. Financial ambiguity allows you to negotiate from a position of psychological strength, regardless of the numbers in your bank account. Pause. Breathe. I can feel the resistance rising in some of you. The voice of your conditioning is whispering, "But this sounds so lonely. This sounds so paranoid. Can't I just trust people?" Listen to me. Trust is a luxury, and luxuries are expensive. You can only afford to trust when you have the power to handle the betrayal. We are not talking about becoming a hermit. We are not talking about never having a conversation. We are talking about compartmentalization. You can share your opinions. You can share your jokes. You can share your experiences. But you must never share the keys to your destruction. The items we have discussed so far, your ethical limits, your effort, your exit strategy, your intelligence, your finances, these are the structural beams of your life. If someone takes a sledgehammer to these, the house collapses. But the next two, the final two, these are the most personal. These are the ones that live in the deepest part of your heart. And because they are so deep, they are the most dangerous to expose. These are the things you whisper in the dark. And these are the things that will be used to haunt you in the light. Prepare yourself. We are going into the core. Item 6, your deepest resentments. The list of enemies. There is a temptation when we are close to someone to bond over mutual hatred, to gossip, to talk about the people who hurt us, to list our enemies. I hate my ex because my old boss was a tyrant, because I couldn't stand that guy over there. You think you are venting. You think you are building an alliance. Here is what you are actually doing. You are showing your wounds. You are telling people exactly how to hurt you. If you say, "I hate my ex because she made me feel small," you are telling the listener, "I am insecure about my size status." You are revealing your trigger buttons. You are showing you are stuck. A man who talks about his enemies is a man who is looking backward. Power looks forward. When you dwell on old resentments, you look weak. You look like you haven't conquered the past. You are warning them. If you talk trash about people you used to be close to, the person listening to you knows that one day you will talk trash about them. Machiavelli teaches that you should either treat men well or crush them completely. If you cannot crush them, ignore them, but never ever complain about them. Complaining is the language of the victim. When you share your resentments, you carry a bag of poison and dump it on the table. It makes you look bitter. It makes you look unstable. The outlier mindset is different. If someone asks about your enemy, you say, "I wish them well," and you move on. This is terrifying to people. It shows a level of detachment that is almost non-human. It shows that you are so focused on your empire that you don't have time to look down at the ants who bit your ankle. Keep your enemies list in your head. Never let it cross your lips. Use your anger as fuel in the gym, in your business, in your craft, but do not use it in conversation. Silence regarding your enemies makes you appear invincible. It implies that they didn't damage you enough to even be worth a mention. Item 7, the grand design, your next big move. This is the final law, and it is the one you will struggle with the most. We all have a grand design. The big dream, the startup idea, the book you want to write, the country you want to move to, the person you want to become. The dopamine hit of telling someone your goal is addictive. You tell them, "I'm going to launch a business next month." They say, "Wow, that's amazing." You feel good. You feel like you've already done it, and that is why you will fail. Psychologically, when you announce your plans, your brain releases the reward chemicals associated with achieving the plan. You get the satisfaction without the work. Your motivation tanks, but strategically, it is even worse. When you announce your next move, you allow the world to block it. "I'm going to apply for that promotion." Now, your rival knows to apply too. Now, your boss knows you are looking for more. "I'm going to invest in this crypto." Now your skeptical friend talks you out of it. "I'm going to change my life." Now your family reminds you of all the times you failed before. The grand design is fragile. It is a seed. If you dig up a seed every day to show people it's growing, it dies. It needs the dark. It needs the soil. Move in silence. Do not announce the start. Announce the finish. There is a terrifying power in the sudden reveal. Imagine disappearing for 6 months, working in the shadows, and then suddenly dropping a project that changes everything. No hype, no talk, just execution. People are stunned. They didn't see it coming. They couldn't stop it because they didn't know it existed. This is the way of the master. The master does not speak of what he will do. He speaks only of what he has done. We have covered the 7 pillars of silence, the ethical red lines, the effort, the exit strategy, the intelligence, the finances, the resentments, the grand design. If you seal these 7 leaks, you stop bleeding power. You become a vessel that holds energy rather than spilling it. But knowing what to hide is only half the battle. The real question, the dangerous question is, how do you navigate a world that demands you share? How do you lie without lying? How do you deflect the prying eyes of the people who claim to love you, but secretly want to control you? And more importantly, what happens when you realize that the person you need to hide these things from is sleeping in the same bed as you? We will now discuss the art of the decoy. How to feed people fake information to satisfy their hunger while you keep the real meat for yourself. And we will discuss the one exception to these rules. The one type of person you can tell. Stay with me. The descent continues. We have established the fortress. We have identified the 7 pillars of information you must protect at all costs. Your ethics, your effort, your exit, your intelligence, your money, your resentments, and your next move. But now we face the practical problem, the human problem. You do not live in a vacuum. You live in a world of prying eyes. Your partner asks, "What are you thinking?" Your boss asks, "What are you working on?" Your friends ask, "How are you doing?" If you answer with silence every time, you become suspicious. You become shady. If you answer with, "I can't tell you," you create conflict. If you answer with the truth, you destroy your leverage. So, how do you navigate this? You use the art of the decoy. In military aviation, when a fighter jet is targeted by a heat-seeking missile, it does not stop flying. It releases flares, decoy heat sources that distract the missile, so the jet can continue its mission. You must learn to release conversational flares. This is the Machiavellian concept of simulacra, creating a simulation of truth that satisfies the observer without revealing the reality. Decoy 1, the calculated minor confession. People crave vulnerability. They want to see your mess because it makes them feel better about their own. If you appear too perfect, they will dig until they find dirt. So give them dirt, but give them the dirt you choose. If you are hiding a massive career move, the grand design, and someone asks, "You seem distracted. What's going on?" Do not say nothing. Instead, confess to a minor, irrelevant problem. "Honestly, I've been sleeping terribly. My back is killing me, and it's making me foggy." This is a flare. It is true. Probably it is relatable. It is vulnerable. The other person hears this and thinks, "Ah, he is human. He is in pain. I understand." They offer sympathy. They offer advice on pillows or stretching. The tension dissolves. You have satisfied their curiosity without revealing the structural shift happening in your mind. You gave them a pebble so they wouldn't look at the mountain. Decoy 2, the boring truth. When asked about your finances or your resources, use the weapon of boredom. If you are asked, "How are your investments doing?" do not say, "I made 50% returns." Do not say, "I lost everything." Say, "The market is so volatile right now. I'm just trying to keep up with inflation." It's a headache. This is the gray rock method. You make the topic so dull, so technical, so generic that the other person's eyes glaze over. They change the subject for you by wrapping your secrets in the packaging of the mundane. You become invisible. People stop asking because they assume the answer will bore them. And in that boredom, you find safety. This brings us to the most uncomfortable truth of all. The hardest place to keep these secrets is not in the boardroom. It is in the bedroom. We are taught that love equals total transparency, that a soulmate is someone who knows everything about us. This is a romantic fantasy that often leads to a tragic reality. Machiavelli warns that men are driven by 2 principal impulses, either by love or by fear. But he also notes that love is held by a chain of obligation, which is broken whenever it serves a man's purpose. When you tell your partner everything, your deepest insecurities, your darkest past, your most fragile dreams, you are handing them a loaded gun. "But they love me." You say, "They would never use it." Perhaps not today. Perhaps not while the relationship is good. But what about when the relationship ends? What about during a heated argument when they want to win? You're just acting like this because your father abandoned you. You'll never start that business. You're too scared of failure. You told me yourself. The secrets you shared in a moment of love become the weapons used in a moment of hate. This is not about lying to your partner. It is about protecting the relationship from your own chaos. Does your partner really need to know every doubt you have about your career? No, that creates anxiety in the home. Does your partner really need to know every person you find attractive? No, that creates jealousy. A strong leader filters the chaos. You absorb the uncertainty of the world, and you transmit stability to your home. You do not treat your partner as a therapist. You treat them as a partner. There is a dignity in the private self. Even in marriage, there should be a corner of your mind that is yours and yours alone. A garden that no one else walks in. This mystery keeps the desire alive. It keeps the respect alive. If you become a completely open book, you become a piece of furniture, familiar, predictable, ignored. But you ask, can I truly tell no one? Will I not go insane carrying this burden alone? You are right. The human mind requires an outlet. If you bottle up every plan, every fear, and every strategy, the pressure can crack the vessel. Machiavelli had advisors. Kings had consorts. The CEO has a board. You are allowed one exception, but this exception must be chosen with the rigor of a sniper selecting a target. This person is not your best friend. Friendship is often built on proximity and shared history, not shared competence. This person is not your lover. Romance clouds judgment. This person is your strategic mirror. This is a mentor, a paid consultant, a therapist, or a peer who is on the exact same path, but in a different arena. Meaning you are not competing for the same resources. The criteria for the exception are strict, mutually assured destruction or indifference. They must have no incentive to hurt you. Either they are paid to keep secrets, lawyer, therapist, or they are so far removed from your social circle that destroying you gains them nothing. High competence. They must be smarter than you, or at least as smart. Venting to a fool is suicide. Venting to a genius is strategy. Low emotion. They must not care about your feelings. They must care about your results. If you do not have this person, do not force it. Do not cast the role just to fill it. It is better to talk to a journal, or to talk to God, or to talk to the void, than to talk to the wrong person. Writing is the ultimate confidant. A journal does not gossip. A journal does not judge. A journal does not envy. Write your plans down. Burn the paper if you must, but get it out of your system without putting it into the system of another human being. What happens when you actually do this? What happens when you stop seeking validation? What happens when you stop explaining yourself? What happens when you seal the 7 leaks? A psychological phenomenon occurs. It is called the accumulation of presence. Think of a steam engine. If you open all the valves, the steam escapes. It makes a loud hissing noise. It looks dramatic, but the engine does not move. If you close the valves, the steam is trapped. When you don't tell people your plans, the energy of that plan stays inside you. It vibrates. It drives you to work. You become possessed by the goal because you haven't released the tension by talking about it. People will start to look at you differently. They won't be able to put their finger on it. He's changed. She's so quiet lately. He seems intense. They will feel the weight of your unsaid words. In a room full of people fighting to be heard, the one who remains silent is the one who controls the gravity. You become a black hole. You pull attention without asking for it. This is the aura of the outlier. The outlier does not need the crowd to agree with his reality. He creates his reality, and then he lets the crowd live in it. Ultimately, why do we share these 7 things? Why do we tell people our ethics, our money, our plans? Because we are begging. We are begging for permission. We are begging for approval. We are begging to be seen. Look at me. I'm a good person. Sharing ethics. Look at me. I'm working hard. Sharing effort. Look at me. I'm going to be successful. Sharing grand design. It is the plea of the child asking the parent, am I doing a good job? Machiavelli teaches us to kill the child, to become the prince, to become the sovereign. The sovereign does not ask if his laws are just. He enforces them. The sovereign does not ask if his plans are approved. He executes them. The sovereign does not ask if he is worthy. He exists. When you stop sharing these 7 things, You are severing the umbilical cord to society's validation. You are saying, I do not need you to witness my life for my life to be real. This is terrifying. It is the vertigo of freedom, but it is the only way to become truly powerful. You must become comfortable with being misunderstood. Let them think you are broke. Let them think you are lazy. Let them think you are stupid. Let them think you have no plan. Let them think whatever they want. Their opinions are ghosts. Your results are reality.